Caesar here. Let's talk about good stories for a bit. Our favorite singers and songwriters, comedians, preachers, or public speakers all have one thing in common. They know how to tell a good story. And when they finish telling a story, you and I feel connected to it and them in some profound ways. So we can relate in laughter or tears, or agreement or disagreement, but I feel powerfully connected with these stories when they're finished. That's how it works in the rest of our lives too. We get to know each other and build relationships by sharing our stories. We're bound together by the common themes and the things that we have jointly experienced. In fact, this is how all relationships and community happens. Our common stories connect and bind us together. Deep down inside, even if we can't explain it, we all yearn to be connected to a bigger story, to have our lives make a difference and be connected to something more. That's because our lives are all actually part of a much, much larger story. And there is one dominant story that all of our stories will ultimately find their place in and finally be complete because of, and that's God's story. His story comes before, finishes, corrects, and ultimately makes sense of every other story. Every part of our own story and everyone else's is actually a reflection of the story of God found in the Bible. That's how God has designed things. Our life story and all the little pieces that make it up actually follow the same pattern found in God's story throughout the entire Bible. And here's what that looks like, kind of in a four-step, four-scene movement. It goes creation, fall, redemption, restoration. That's pretty much a quick four-scene version of the whole Bible. Now, to effectively share who God is and what He's up to in this world and how He's changing our lives, we must learn how to tell our stories through that same four-movement lens of the larger story. Let me quickly share in each of these movements and scenes one question that you'll need to try to answer as you try to tell your story in light of the story. Creation. The question here, key questions to answer, is who or what most shaped who you thought you were and where you got your real value and identity in life from. Fall. The key question here is, why was your relationship with God and others, or anything else in your life, not the way it was supposed to be? In other words, the way God created it to be. How were you rebelling against God and His ways and plans for your life? Redemption. The key question here is, how has Jesus taken the penalty for your rebellion on Himself? And how have you come to put your faith and trust in Him to redeem and restore your life to the way God intended it to be? And restoration. The key question here is, what has changed and what is changing in your life now? And who or what is the focus of your life today? That should help get you started in the right direction. Oh, and one more thing. Unfortunately, often when we Christians tell our stories, usually called something like our testimony, we give very little evidence to the fact that we really are in that great of need to be rescued or restored by God for His glory and kingdom purposes. And if we do actually mention God or Jesus in our story, we'll probably just tell of some experience we had at a church service one day or at a youth camp, and maybe a time when we said a special prayer. Then we talk about how much better our life's going today. And to tell you the truth, we don't usually make ourselves look all that bad or in need, and we don't make God look all that good. And we're the primary focus. We're the hero in that story. But we're sort of thankful that God's kind of helping us out along the way now. However, we can learn to tell our stories in a way that shows God as the hero of our story. And our stories will be both salt and light to others. Salty like a potato chip, right? After getting started, others are going to want to hear more. And light that illuminates a path toward new life with Jesus. So if you've been shy in telling your faith story to others or making yourself out to be better than you really are, the next best time to make your story part of the story is now. If you look in the comments below, there's a link to a free resource that'll completely expand and explain all this in greater detail, okay? And it'll help you build your own story. There's examples there too of other people's story that kind of help out. I hope that'll help you. And as always, thanks for watching.